Chairman, sir. I declare an interest of sorts in that Britannia is moored in my constituency. And I can also tell you it's not going anywhere, partly because one of its propellers has been melted down and is now in the form of a statue of a yachty, a Royal Yachtsman, I believe. Among the other reasons it's staying put is it's owned privately by a trust. It's not in public hands. I think I'll make way a little bit further, if I may. Okay, sure.
Would you not agree with me that it might give true respect to the Royal Yacht Britannia if she described her not as it, but as she?
Indeed, semantics indeed. I appreciate the point. That yacht is promoted as the museum piece she is. Harking back to a time really that cannot be recaptured, a piece from the days of steamships polished and gleaming from bow to stern, beautifully cared for as a floating curiosity, not a working ship. So recommissioning is indeed out of the question, and I assume members have had a look at the YouGov poll and seen that the building of a new Royal Yacht is not supported. In fact, only among Conservative voters, by 41% to 39%, are there more people in favour of building it than not. And when you ask about whether the money to build a new ship, and build and run a new ship, could be justified, even Conservative voters turn against it. It's noticeable too, I think, that Scotland has a more solid opposition to the idea than anywhere else. 60% against recommissioning, 66% against buying a new one, and 68% think the costs cannot be justified. The costs, because of course costs are important at a time when working families have joined benefit claimants in the queue at food banks. The costs are simply unjustifiable. And we've heard there are lots of ways in which the yacht could be funded, but no firm proposals, and as usual, the burden will fall back on the long-suffering taxpayer. Like PFI and PPP and every other cunning plan that governments come up with, it will cost the public purse, not private finance. As was mentioned or referred to, I think, previously, the old yacht had a crew of 250 and 21 officers drawn from the Navy, and on royal duty it had a platoon of Marines on board and warships accompanying it. Now, I'm guessing the Navy's top brass will not be thinking a new Royal Yacht is their dearest ambition, given the current state of their resources. And then we do indeed get to the capital costs. Are they to come from the defence budget already groaning under the pressure of carrying Trident, or are they to come from another part of the public purse? Now, given what we hear repeatedly about the shortages of equipment that armed forces personnel face, can anyone justify adding another capital spend to that burden? If the intent would be... Yes, of course.
I thank the lady for her contribution to the debate. Is her argument that the public shouldn't pay for the Royal Yacht, which I think is what she's saying, would she in fact be supportive of the Royal Yacht if it was funded privately?
Deidre Brock. I think the public is saying it's not supportive of the recommissioning of the yacht, and that doesn't take into account the running costs, which we've already heard will come from, it's suggested, several departments, including the International Trade Department. So, if the intent is to take that capital spend and running costs from elsewhere in the public purse, where will that flow for? Given the austerity fetish that the former Chancellor inflicted on all of us and the reported comments of the current Chancellor he intends to deliver on all of the already planned cuts, where exactly is that spare cash to come from? And how exactly does anyone square the fact that benefit sanctions mean that the poorest, weakest and most disadvantaged people are being left to go cold and hungry, but we will all be paying for what must seem to them like a new pleasure cruiser for the royal family? This is just a wistful throwback to the days of the Raj, a pleading with history to run backwards and ignore the dodgy bits on the way. This is a rosy-tinted fiction of a time that never was, a fond imagining that empire was a good thing and that fine gentlemen rise to the occasion upon demand. Now, this is reminiscent, really, of John Major's thoughts, when he said, 50 years from now, Britain will still be the country of long shadows on county grounds, warm beer, invincible green suburbs, dog lovers and pool fillers, and as George Orwell said, old maids bicycling to Holy Communion through the morning mist, and if we get our way, Shakespeare still read even in school. Britain will survive unamendable in all essentials. Now, of course, he was actually talking about why the UK should remain in the EU. And this current fantasy is a fairy story from the imagination of Brexiteers who imagine the UK has only to denounce the EU to rise again to great heights. Now, this frankly sad and sorry Britannia plan sounds like the regrets of someone who's missed their chance, drawing the tattered remnants of their dreams around them for whatever warmth they can offer, while the world rushes by uncaringly. Flashboat democracy has no place in the modern world, which has changed utterly from the day from the day in 1997 that Britannia was decommissioned. Emails, electronic trading, smartphones with more computing power than the moon landing craft, entire businesses that exist only online. This is a different world from the world in which the yacht was decommissioned, never mind the world in which it was commissioned in the first place. If members... Yes, of course.
She's obviously having a lot of fun with her caricature, and she may have noticed that both Mr. Letts and Mr. Hope are scribbling furiously at everything she says. Nonetheless, did she not hear what our honourable friend said about the possibilities that the new Royal Yacht would have for creating more business opportunities, more revenue, ultimately more tax revenue, and therefore more money for the government for nurses and teachers?
Deidre Brock.
Intervention, but I also heard that Blair Force One is still current. I can't see why that is not being used as it should be, as apparently it should be, for trade throughout the world as it is. I do not see why we need to commission, no, I'm almost finished, why we need to commission another yacht at a cost of, just got a tiny amount to go, £60 million in 1997, 100 million, allegedly, now, and then running costs unknown. The running costs were 66 million between 1990 and 97. What are those costs today? We have no idea. As I say, this is a different world. If members want to see economic revival, they should ask for austerity to be eased and spending resumed. If they really want international trade improved, they'll petition for UK embassies to be retooled as permanent trade missions. If you want to get on your feet and build an economy, dump the daft ideas, get on with the serious hard work that's needed. It's what your constituents deserve. You can hang a new bauble on the jacket of the UK as it shuffles down the road, but that does nothing to feed a hungry child or support a struggling industry or boost a flagging economy. Dump the bauble. Get wise about what we have to do now.